disappointment if we didn't get a quorum for all these students.
I know, it would be very disappointing.
Will you still get extra credit?
You should, huh?
I'd still give it out, yeah. But they would have to probably write about another meeting. There wouldn't be much substance to write about if we didn't actually hold a meeting. I do have phone numbers I can call if need be.
Was Chris gonna be here, or? you know?
Should be.
Is that clock's on, right?
Getting it close.
Well, it's a minute. It's a minute.
That's fast.
Yeah, it's 1 minute.
Is that fast?
But I can always step outside. 'Cause you can't call the order without me being here, give everyone a chance now. Okay, here comes Matt.
Okay.
Good. And John.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. I think they were gonna make it on time.
It's all.
Literally.
6:28, according to the.
Technical difficulties, eh?
Really packed, we had packed.
Chris?
The packet, but Zach gave us that walk around this morning.
Yeah.
Students? Yeah.
Hit my
I don't know what's class.
Mostly students from my class. For an assignment. Attending a public meeting for anyone that age.
Yeah.
It's good to know that the students are not,
I saw the confirmation for the November meeting, but nothing about October, so I imagine we don't have cases for October.
Are we gonna have a meeting in October or
I
not?
didn't think so.
No October meetings.
Can do.
Yeah.
Give Bulgy a quick call, just as a reminder. Hey, Bulgy, this is Zachary Moore. Are you on your way to the meeting?
Good, thank you.
Okay, so you'll be here in a couple minutes? 2 minutes. Okay, all right. Appreciate the update. Thanks. Bye.
I'm really not interested. Waiting for him.
He's on his way. He said 2 minutes.
Doing any door knocking?
Yeah,
How's it going?
good.
Yeah, got a lot of negative feedback, right? Are you going outside the city?
I was outside the city by now. But
You're still inside the city?
Yeah, it's still
For those of you who may not have heard the message, for those of you in my class, I'm going to take sign in after the meeting. So that way you can get your extra credit, your extra point. Thank you all for being here this evening. Hopefully you enjoy the meeting.
Yeah,
building 90%.
yeah,
It's too.
yeah.
I have
Kirk the other day.
1 point. Just one. It does, yeah. Can make all the difference. Yeah, I teach at Miami, planning course.
Wristbands.
Oh, I know.
And I said, no.
Planning course, urban and regional planning, GO 451, yep. It's my second semester teaching.
So they're, I mean, they're down out there, right?
They're seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And, but they got, don't they got 3 guys there?
Okay, it's 6:31. I'm gonna call the September meeting of the Oxford Board of Zoning Appeals to order. Let the minutes reflect those staff members present and those excused. Also, a welcome to the Miami University students in their urban planning class. I'm sure you're going to find this meeting riveting. And we also have the pleasure of having the mayor in the audience as well.
Apologies.
Ms. Miller, would you call the roll?
Mr. Creech,
Here.
Mr. Dash
Here now.
Mr. Chafin,
Here.
Mr. Wyatt,
Here.
Mr. Russo.
Present. Okay, first order of business is approval of the August 26, 2025 meeting, minutes of the regular meeting. You have them in front of you. You've had a chance to review them. Any questions, comments, modifications, concerns at all? I have one, and that is, I believe, and you can refresh my memory, fellow board members, that bullet item number 3, no changes to it, while we made changes to the board procedures and bylaws. We also had Appendix A at the time in the packet, which were recommendations that are apparently going to City Council concerning changes in the zoning code. The minutes simply indicate that no changes to Appendix A, which requires legislation in order to change. I believe we agreed, at least, that it was the sense of BZA that we endorsed those changes and wanted that communicated.
I think that's what we
Yes.
agreed to.
Can we-
That's accurate.
My recollections,
Yeah,
anyway.
Can we fix those minutes so that it at least indicates that the Board of Zoning Appeals endorsed those legislative changes? Any other concerns, questions, modifications? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
I moved to approve the minutes.
Second,
Second.
all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions, the minutes have been approved. Okay, first, we have one change in the agenda, and that is there's been a request to postpone the hearing until November 2025 for BZA 2025-03 on 36 East High Street, the administrative appeal to section 1137.10C.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for the law director, if you could answer this. In Zach's letter to the applicant, Mr. Wiseman, he indicates that a approval of certificate of appropriateness by the Historic and Architectural Commission is required. Does that mean we don't have jurisdiction until that certificate is issued? What's the impact of that?
Go ahead.
Yes, so to answer your question, Mr. Chaffin, there will be a COA that's required in addition to seeking the appeal. So if the appeal, the administrative appeal were granted, in other words, if the zoning administrator's decision were overturned, they would still be required to go to the Historic and Architectural Preservation Commission and obtain a certificate of appropriateness for their request.
So
that's a
if they didn't
completely
get that,
separate.
then it would be irrelevant what we did.
If their appeal is denied, my guess is there's no reason to go get a COA.
Exactly, yeah, it wouldn't be
Okay.
possible at that point.
All right, so they want to go here first and then go there. I get it.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, let's move to new business, BZA 2025-02, 5720 College Corner Pike, a variance. Actually, there are 2 variances requested by Walmart. Benji Dariano is the agent for the applicant. Zach, counsel, will you swear in Zach as we move to?
I don't think he heard you.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Would you swear in?
All of those who are going to testify, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
I do. Good evening, board members. So our first case of the evening, this is case number BZA 2025-02. This is at 5720 College Corner Pike. This is a request for 2 variances related to signage. And the applicant for this request is Mr. Ben Dariano.
I just want to interrupt to make sure everyone understands. While these are correlated variances, they're related to one another, we're going to take them separately on seriality. So
Okay.
you can talk about both.
Okay. Yes, I'll go ahead and present on both variances, and then the board is welcome to deliberate on both. So again, the applicant for this request, it's WD Partners under the care of Ben Dariano, who is with us this evening in attendance. The property owner, of course, this is dealing with the Walmart store, so no surprise here. The property owner is Walmart Real Estate Trust. The current zoning classification applicable to the property is GB, General Business District. Current use, of course, this is a big box store, a retailer. And the proposal, so the specific variances that are being requested, variance number 1 has to do with directional sign size, and this is out of section 1151.05C4. Variance number 2 has to deals with the number of wall signs that would be permitted for the property. And this is out of section 1151.05A3, capital A1. And just as a reminder here, so 1151, that corresponds to the chapter number. This chapter deals with signage regulations. This is out of the Oxford zoning code. So that's why both section numbers start with 1151. Because again, we're dealing with signage-related requests. Here is a look at the property location. So you can see the footprint of the Walmart store, the parking that surrounds it. This, of course, is across from Schneider Electric. And we also have a Tractor Supply Company store that is currently under construction at the corner of Todd Road and Ringwood Road. And then flipping to the next slide, this is a look at the current zoning classifications in the area. I will mention also this yellow boundary with the hashed black in the middle. That is the city corporate boundary. So anything that is to the right of this line or above, it's A1 or RPUD, that is outside of the city limits. That falls under Oxford Township and County zoning, Butler County zoning. And of course, across College Corner Pike, where Schneider Electric is, that is a completely different zoning district. That is the light industrial or LI zone. It's shaded in purple. Okay, so diving into variance number 1, this is section 1151.05C. This deals with nameplate and direction signs in any zoning district. So this language is written specific to any one of the zoning districts within the city. So kind of honing in on the aspects of the language that are relevant. So directional signage is there for the purpose of controlling the flow of pedestrian and vehicular traffic on site. Can describe such things as building occupants, secondary entrances, intended travel directions, parking regulations. And the code basically says you can have any number of these signs as may be needed. The restriction is that these signs be no more than 2 square feet in overall area. So that, in and of itself, that is the reason for the first variance request. This request has to do with a pickup zone. There is an existing pickup zone on site that is actually being proposed to be moved to the other side of the store. And I'll show you here in a moment what that's going to look like. But first, just to give you a sense, these are, in fact, photographs that I took there out at the Walmart site showing the existing pickup area. So you can see that these signs, which their appearance, perhaps their character looks not unlike signage that you would see in a parking lot posted on poles. Just so happens that those parking spaces are pretty much right up against where the building is, situated perpendicularly to the facade. So they're attached to the building, so in effect they're wall signs. But the proposed sign area is 7.5 square feet. So this is a depiction of what they would look like. So it's kind of hard to see. It would actually be bigger than these. It would be more akin to this one over here that says pickup down below, much as it shows right here. This more or less is akin to the size of sign that they would be proposing for the other side of the store. So pickup zone relocation, the existing pickup zone is on the right-hand side of the store. If you're looking kind of straight on at the entrances, it's off to the right presently. It would be moved over next to the garden center on the left side of the store. And the number of spaces is also increasing as a result of its relocation. So here is a close-up view of the pickup zone and the improvements that are planned. So these are plans that we've received from WD Partners. So essentially, it's taking these parking spaces, creating a wider gap in between. So you would have employees bringing the goods and merchandise out to the vehicles once they arrive. And there would be an installation of a new exterior door in this location here. So that would be where the employees would be coming in and out of. And then here's where all of the pickup stall signs, those 7.5 foot sized signs, that's where they're all going to be positioned. So all of these along here, I believe this totals 12 in total along the wall. Those would be the wall versions of those signs. And then the rest of them in the middle here in this island, or this bay of parking spaces, those would be posted on poles. So that's variance number 1. I do want to emphasize too, and the staff report touches upon this, so there was a previous BZA case in 2017 that actually allowed for signage of this particular size, this 7.5 feet. And if my memory suits me correctly, I believe it was for 6 total signs. I believe that's what the staff report says. But obviously in this case here, it's going to be a far greater number of spaces. So rather than just revoking my prior determination on this permit, I felt it was still justified that there would still need to be a variance for the additional signage, the additional number that would be exceeding the 2 square feet threshold for directional signage. So the variance is still needed despite the initial mistake, if you will, in the first round of review on the permit.
Yeah, that was my question, Zach, was the size of the signs that are there already exceed the allowed square.
Correct, correct.
And that was approved by
By the board.
the board.
That received board approval, yes. So, in my opinion, I suppose that would work in favor of their request now, given that they've already gone to the board once before and asked for a very similar request. The second variance, again, this is 1151-05A3A. This has to do with the total number of main advertising signs that would be allowed on any given site. So the section of the code calls out standards for single-tenant site versus a multi-tenant site. So this would be construed as a single-tenant site, single tenant, of course, being Walmart. And the code language specifies no more than a total of 2 wall or freestanding signs are permitted per site. Obviously, today, as it exists, Walmart has far more than 2 wall or freestanding signs. And there is a procedural explanation for that. So Walmart has gone before the BZA multiple times, not only for the directional signs like we just mentioned, but also just for wall or advertising signage in general. So per past BZA cases that are mentioned in your staff report, BZA has approved up to 12 wall signs for the Oxford Walmart. And this does not include the wall-mounted pickup stall signs that were approved previously. So in summary, if I were to give kind of a chronological history of Walmart, so initial building permit would have been pulled in 2004, construction would have been in 2005. There were, of course, the original signs would have gone up on the original building at that time. There was a rebrand that we have record of in terms of our past permits that occurred in 2013. Another rebranding occurred in 2023. They were able to stay under the threshold of the number of signs that the board had previously approved. So for those rebranding efforts, there was no reason to take it back to the board. It was able to be approved administratively. So this latest rebrand, these plans from the sign permit from 2023, this is kind of the benchmark for comparison. So we're comparing essentially the existing conditions, what are reflected on the site today in the form of these 2023 plans. We're comparing those to the plans that have now been submitted by the applicant from WD Partners. So I figured it would make sense just kind of go section by section and just compare directly what would be changing, if anything. So in terms of 2023 to 2025, the main sign, by separating these elements, separating the Walmart from the Spark logo, per the guidance that the zoning code provides, we actually have to consider these two separate wall signs as opposed to just one. And as a result, it's like you're requesting an additional wall sign as a result of that by separating the two. So that is one reason why there's an extra wall sign involved in the proposal. You can see grocery to grocery, not too much change there, just changing the font more or less. The pickup sign on the right-hand side of the store, there's no need to have that anymore because the pickup zone is moving to the other side, so that is disappearing. Home and pharmacy above the, I think this is the right side entrance here, that will be changing to home and fashion. And then this is on the left-hand side of the store. So there's presently, I think that says outdoor and auto care. That would be changing to pickup, so a directional sign in nature directing folks to where the pickup zone is. Auto care more or less remaining the same. The outdoor content is proposed to be moved over here and made a separate sign. And then there's also an auto facility that is located kind of around back on the left-hand side. If you had a chance to visit the site, you would have seen that. There's garage doors, so there's services like tire replacement, oil change, that kind of thing. So pretty much kind of like-for-like replacements there. Bay 4, Bay 3, Bay 2, Bay 1, auto care. There is additional signage that's being proposed, so this would be the rear side of the garage bay portion of the building. Apparently there is a need to call out these two individual garage doors where presently there is no signage. There would be an additional, I think that's 5 and 6 that reads there for those bays. So those are additional wall signs that are being requested. Not too much to mention on this facade. Okay. Another way to compare things, so thankfully Oxford has access to a wealth of historic aerial imagery, so we're able to go back in time and see exactly what the conditions were leading all the way back to 2007, actually, which would have been just a few short years after the building's original construction. So what I've done here is to call out all of the individual wall sign locations, 12 individual locations represented with a yellow star. And then this is reflecting the latest aerial imagery that we could obtain. So this more or less shows you the existing conditions. So pickup sign over here, main sign in the middle, the auto care sign would be right here, the outdoor sign, and then all the signage associated with the tire and oil change service center, vehicle service center. And then finally, we arrive at this screen here. So 6 new sign locations. And anywhere that's a yellow sign, you're pretty much having a near swap or equal swap of signage. So you can think of those as kind of almost remaining in place. Anywhere where there's a red star, that means a sign is being taken away or going away. And then anywhere where there is a green star, that would be new signage. So this gives you a sense for what the proposed condition would be for the overall Walmart store. Okay, so we've arrived at the decision criteria, and I'm going to go through these criteria, and if I find that the criteria supports both variances, then it basically, on this slide, it gets one icon. It either gets a check mark or it gets an X. Only criterion F had different findings depending on which variance we were talking about, so I'll be sure to mention that. But otherwise, anytime I'm summarizing something, I'm really just talking about both variances in general. So criterion A, well actually before I get into criterion A, I just want to remind the board that in accordance with section 1139.02C1, the burden of proof is upon the applicant to present reliable and substantial evidence that supports the request for variance. Furthermore, per section 1139.02C2, the BZA must find that practical difficulties exist that would render strict application of the code unreasonable. And what the code lays out is that the board must use these 8 decision criteria, A through G. And there's also criterion H, which is basically any other relevant factor or evidence that might be contributed as part of the hearing. But using these decision criteria, these become the basis for finding whether there's practical difficulty demonstrated in the situation and whether a variance should be granted specific to this property, specific to this situation. So starting with criterion A, this is whether the property in question will yield reasonable return or whether there can be any beneficial use of the property without the variance or variances in this situation. So we find criterion A supports the requests. While the prescriptive nature of sign provisions for a single tenant commercial site in the GB district makes sense in the vast majority of cases, again, GB, that applies to any number of different properties. A lot of businesses are going to be, of course, much, much smaller. Actually, pretty much any of them are going to be smaller than Walmart. And so in the vast majority of cases, 2 signs tends to be enough. But it does come across as rather hostile, I would say, toward a larger big box user like Walmart. Probably the closest comparable in Oxford would be Kroger. Certainly has more than 2 signs that the BZA has approved over the years. So Kroger boasts multiple signs on its front facade. The nature of these big box or hypermarket style uses is that they tend to offer a multitude of goods and services, sometimes even completely distinct tenants. Walmart, for instance, has a Subway inside of it. So you have any number of tenants: coffee, food, pharmacy, vision, etc. Additionally, it could be generally said that the pickup services for larger retailers have become more popular and even more sophisticated over the last few years, spurred in part by the need to social distance during the COVID era. Signage regulations that are currently embedded in our zoning code here in Oxford have yet to experience a much-needed legislative update to account for these new and emerging trends. So with all these facts in mind, we believe criterion A offers plenty of support toward granting both requested variances. Moving on to letter B is whether the variance is substantial. So in this particular case, the zoning code's sign area limit, we would find it to be ridiculously generous, actually. So there's actually a standard I haven't mentioned in 1151.05A3. It limits the overall sign area that can be installed on a site. And it's overly generous because it's no more than 2 square feet per linear front foot of the site. So when you take the frontage of the site as measured along Todd Road and College Corner Pike, you come out to some 1,735 feet of frontage, and then you double that, and that's the maximum sign area. So we're talking about 3,470 square feet of total allowable sign area. That is massive. That is astronomical. So because of the way that standard is written, and that obviously deserves attention as part of a legislative update, in light of this, in the past, sign area ultimately has been controlled by other mechanisms. It's been controlled by maximum sign height and maximum sign number, like what we're dealing with tonight. And since all the signs that are shown in these plans comply with the maximum height restriction, which in this case is no more than 12 feet in height, the BZA has to consider whether the number of signs proposed should be deemed substantial or not. With respect to the auto center signs, I think there's a clear rationale for including these above each service bay. Substantiality is less of a concern. It's generally not even visible from any public right-of-way. You're only going to know it's there if you're heading there for those particular services. With respect to signage along the front facade, I think the newest sign additions that we have, I think it's for things like pharmacy and vision. Those are kind of the newer signs. Those are at relatively subdued heights and sizes. So overall, we don't feel that this is a substantial request, but that is ultimately for the board to decide. Criterion C is whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered or whether adjoining properties would suffer a detriment. We did send out our notices, as we always do for these cases. Everyone within 200 feet got notified. We did not receive any comments or any phone calls or emails in response. And so in general, we don't believe there's going to be a detriment or a negative impact to the essential character of the area. So we believe criterion C is supportive. Criterion D, whether the variance would adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. We send out every variance application for comment from other city departments, engineering, fire, police, economic development. We did not receive any comments or concerns. So in general, given that this is a signage request, we just haven't seen any concerns expressed, so we don't believe that the delivery of governmental services like water, sewer, garbage, et cetera, is going to be negatively impacted. Criterion E is whether the property owner purchased the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction. With this one, I pretty much always have to rely on what the applicant may volunteer in their letter, and the applicant just states it's unknown whether the owner, Walmart, was aware of these specific restrictions when the property was purchased. So there's no support lended from criterion E. Letter F, whether the property owner's predicament feasibly can be obviated through some method other than a variance. So this is where we've got a splitting of the analyses, variance number 1 versus variance number 2. So we find that F supports variance 1. Lends support because this variance to the directional size limitation, it's really the only way to adequately provide supportive wayfinding for Walmart's pickup operation. And I think given, as I mentioned previously, that previous case in 2017, I think that lends credence to approving it once again, just allowing for the scale to expand outward to where it needs to be in terms of the number of spaces that would have such signage posted. F, on the other hand, toward variance number 2, the number of signs. So F lends some support toward variance number 2 in the interest of allowing for additional identification signage above the 2 auto service bays at the back of the store, but in terms of the main advertising signage along the front facade, splitting up the Walmart and the Spark logo, that's probably consistent with the latest branding standards from Walmart. But notwithstanding these particular signs, that leaves the pharmacy and the vision signs as truly kind of the only extra signage that's really being requested above and beyond the previously allowed limit. And these 2 signs are effectively identifying separate departments or services within the store, something that not every retailer is necessarily entitled to when designing or allocating signage according to zoning limitations. The predicament here is just the ability to call attention to these specialized services, because without a variance, the applicant would either need to just disregard advertising these particular services or figure out a way to somehow introduce that particular content into the number of already allowable signs on the building. So we rate that as kind of a mixed evidence for variance number 2 on criterion F. And then finally, letter G, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance. The spirit and intent behind these subject sign-related zoning requirements is to provide reasonable restrictions to advertising and wayfinding signage for business sites in the GB General Business District. If you don't have reasonable limitations in place, a commercial establishment could easily be inundated with blatantly cluttered and large signs that tend to overserve perhaps their purposes, could degrade community aesthetics or create a distraction for motorists, so creating a public safety or public hazard type of condition. So in observing the totality of the requested variances together with the resulting schedule of new signs, we, as staff at least, believe substantial justice would be done by granting both variance number 1 as well as variance number 2. And again, criterion letter H, it's not on the slide, but that's any other relevant factor that the BZA wishes to consider in making these decisions. That concludes my report. I'm happy to take any questions from the board.
Thank you. Questions?
I have one, Mr. Chair. So, Zach, as I understand, you're saying that the number of signs that Walmart has now is in compliance with either something you've said or something the BZA said.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
In the letter that you issued to Mr. or Ms. Kimberly McBrayer of WD Partners on July 16th of this year, you indicated that 9 pickup stall signs had been installed without permission. Is that correct?
Yes, so earlier in the presentation, I mentioned that I had made a mistake in my initial sign review. I did not realize when I was reviewing the record, I didn't pick up on the fact that there had been another BZA case in 2017 that had authorized those signs.
Can
So,
you reference that case?
It should be in the report. Let's see. If you refer to page 7,
Okay.
BZA 2017-14, variance is approved to enable directional signage on site not to exceed 4 feet in height, maxing out at 8 feet, as well as to exceed the usual 2 square foot limit.
So 9 signs were approved for the pickup site. Is that correct?
So if my memory suits me correctly, I believe it was 6 total signs. There are 9 signs that are there, but the other 3 are smaller in size. So if I go back to the slides for a
I'm just
second.
asking you about that BZA decision. Did they approve 6 signs, or how many signs did they approve? If you know.
I don't think I have,
Those were smaller signs, is that right?
Well, he said 3
they
of
were
them
7.5 foot size signs.
Additional 3.
Roughly 7.5 feet. It was, I think the staff report notes it as 7.88 square feet.
That's correct.
So if I go back to the slide that has the photos of the existing pickup zone. So these are the smaller signs, but you'll notice here through the window of this Ford Ranger here, that this sign is much larger than this sign. This sign is generally the same size as the size signs that are now being proposed for the other side of the store.
So you don't know for sure if the bigger signs were the 6 approved and they put the 3 up smaller later, or was that part of the same pattern? You don't know.
I recall some of the details, but they're fuzzy, so I'm not able to provide that as my testimony that it's absolutely the case. I'm just saying,
The report
based on reviewing that prior case and the prior report, that seems to be my recollection, is that it was
The
6
report-
total signs, but there's 3 smaller signs that have since supplemented.
Right, and the report indicates that the 3 were installed later
So they wouldn't have been part of
than
that BZA
than
decision.
the
is
original
that-
6,
Would that be accurate, Mr. Chair? If they weren't part of that BZA decision, then they weren't.
but they did not exceed the 2 square foot threshold and thus didn't require a permit.
Oh, okay, now I understand, okay. So let me ask you another question. So if Walmart had 9 signs and that was working, I guess, why do they need 12 now?
That would be a
That's-
good question for the
That's-
applicant.
All right. And then you mentioned that same letter that if they would reduce the total number to 16, that might be compliance with the standards. Is that accurate? I'll read you the sentence. It's substantial, submit plans proposed total 28 signs, inclusive of 9 signs on the front gate, 7 signs devoted to auto center, and 12 pickup signs. Even if the pickup signs will reduce in size to comply, okay, you're talking about reduction in size, not reduction in number. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if the signs were reduced to be compliant, then they wouldn't count toward the overall number of wall signs.
Thank you.
And the 9 to 12, these are the pickup signs, correct? That moving from 9 to 12?
Yes.
Yeah, it's probably because they're doing more online sales.
Yes, so if we
Right.
go back to the
Like your
slides.
Right,
Walmart guy, you
sure,
know.
that's probably what it is.
I mean,
He'll explain it.
Yeah.
Well, he's gonna have to.
So if we counted the number of stars along the building here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's the 12 pickup wall signs. We're calling them wall signs because they are attached to the wall, much like the ones on the right side of the building. But then I believe there's also 12 more over here. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 24 total pickup stalls, 12 of the signs on the building, 12 of them on poles. That's what's being requested.
Any other questions for Zach?
so I have.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Good evening. Ben Dariano, 7007 Discovery Boulevard, Dublin, Ohio, 43017. Thanks for having me here tonight. I'm appreciate it. It's a push month. We did have someone get sick last month. Zach did a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much for that. Walmart is proposing to update their entire brand standards package on the store. Includes significant wall signage and directional signage, as you can see. The directional signage increase specifically is due to how much their online ordering program has taken off since COVID. Many retailers have seen drastic increases, and Walmart, like all of them, has exploded with popularity and profitability. The increased size of the directional signage is due to customer wayfinding to allow for simpler pickup for everyone. There is a specific arrow on the wall showing the pickup sign. Each of the stalls says, "You're here for the pickup program. You need to call this number," and it's for pickup specifically. They are relocating to the other side of the building because I do believe within the remodel they're relocating their existing pickup storage area for the program, and so that's why it's all being shifted to the other side of the building. So that is the stall signage specifically. Walmart is, with their update of the wall signage, they're breaking out, as Zach noted, the Spark is separated as a brand standard nationwide. The pharmacy and the Vision are also brand standards as services offered, so those are new. And then the Auto Center, they plan to utilize those additional bays. And Walmart has found that by labeling all the bays, it works a lot better for customers trying to utilize that program specifically. We are proposing an increase in the overall number, but as Zach noted, we are far, far below what is actually allowed per total sign area on the store. Zach did a great job. I honestly don't have that much to say after such a good job that he did.
So I'd asked the question about why you want to expand. It's totally because of the online orders.
Yes.
Can you give me I don't know, I do a little online shopping, but I know it has increased. Do you anticipate in the next couple of years the online shopping to even expand further?
Walmart bases these on how much space they actually have to utilize within the store. So this 24 total stalls is based on their actual storage inside the building. If Walmart would expand that much more, they would need to take additional floor space of the building. But typically they can only run, I think, a pickup every 15 minutes on this location. And at 15 minutes, 8-ish hours a day, they probably won't see an additional increase for many years at this point, because it would require significant changes to the inside of the building for the program.
Okay. I assume you're monitoring the existing number of people that are using these
Yes,
stalls, right?
yes.
Do you have it every day, or how often does it operate, daily, and how many hours?
The pickup is offered every day of the week. I think it's 8 to 8 maybe, without checking the website. I'm not positive. They vary store to store.
You gotta keep those same hours and days?
Typically, yes.
Okay.
And then it's relocated because you can see along the building, with the pickup door being relocated, it's also for employee safety specifically. Arguably it'd be better out in the front parking lot, but then you'd have employees crossing the parking lot many more times, and that side of the building is a much less traveled part of the building. I was over there this afternoon. It was pretty dead over there.
The other question I had, it went to the idea that you may have installed signs without seeking permits. So could we have your assurances that if you want to install new signs or move signs around, you'll come back to the board?
Yes, if this is approved tonight, I will tell Walmart any additional signage needs to come back to the board if it exceeds the 2 square foot limit for directional signage.
Thank you very much.
And the online ordering clearly has increased dramatically. But so has delivery, at least regional delivery as well. Is there that much more activity in terms of pickup, on-site pickup?
I have not seen Walmart's books or financials on it. I understand that the online ordering is a very profitable thing still. My understanding is delivery can also incur an additional delivery charge, so people are utilizing the pickup just as much as they ever have before and just as much as the online ordering. itself.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So you're proposing an increase in the number of signs,
Yes,
and the signs themselves are a little bit larger.
yes.
Besides that, they're not like LED lit or anything
No,
like that, right?
the
They're-
only lit signs in the store will be I'm gonna need glasses soon. The main Walmart and Spark, then the pickup are the only two lit signs in the entire building.
and they're lit from the
They're
sign
entirely
itself
lit
or from
LEDs.
outside?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a point of clarification. You briefly mentioned that there was a potential safety issue and the reason to move it because of traffic flow
So-
and pedestrian flow?
Yes, that's why they don't put in the actual front of the parking lot right in front of the store. It's always off to the sides. That way you can keep all the employees out of the main drive aisles as much as possible.
Yeah, there isn't much on that side now of where the garden center is, other than if you're going over to the
The
auto
auto
center.
center, yeah, there's nothing else over that I saw this afternoon.
Right. Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns? This closes the evidentiary hearing portion.
I move, to we go into deliberation on this matter?
In private,
Yes.
yeah. There's a-
Did you ask if there was any public comment?
I did not, but any public comments? Not sure, yeah, I'm more concerned. Is there a second to the motion to
Second.
deliberate privately? Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, we'll be deliberating in private. Counselor, would you join us in the
Yes.
deliberation?
I apologize, when I was distracted, I'm having Wi-Fi issues.
Let's go here.
So, case number 2, we're not hearing tonight. So you'll be right next, yeah.
So this is just the evidence period, and then there's another.
They're in deliberation. No, it's one and done. It stops at PTA. Yeah.
So we can put up the
So
sign
unlike
after this,
your,
if we get approved, we can put up the sign.
Yeah, you can get your sign permit. You already got your COA, right? So, yeah. So we can finalize the sign permit and then we'll put it right up. So if they approve the variance, then it's immediately, there's no waiting period, there's no, referendum period, because this is a quasi judicial action, it's not legislative. So,
Cause I remember the Shannon recently calls in, it's like, all right, we're going to re-hearing. We're like, all right.
yeah, that's the beauty of PCA, it's one and done.
Okay, awesome. So you're just like, we're just going to 1.5, just like we're 4. Yeah, that's right. And then, after that, the wash location, you were saying.
So I think there were maybe issues with the COA on that one,
Yeah.
things that you want to change with that.
Yeah.
But I don't think there was a zoning issue with
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
because it's at the right height, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
first floor, so, yeah, there shouldn't be a need for a variance on that. Stand under the 3 feet, height limit.
And then a question with the letter, you were regarding like wall signs.
impressive.
I was gonna say, like, this is really
Nice,
good,
so,
yeah.
you don't have to have any, custom saw. Got your sign points. It's all there, all the facts and details and information. Yeah, the second semester doing it, I started this spring. I used to teach. I've been in Oxford for 6 years now. So, I was in Warren County for 4.5 years before that. So.
You teach just one class or?
Just one. That's all I can handle.
Yeah.
I got a full-time
I was
job.
about to say, like,
That's all, like, I didn't know it was class of 50. Wow. This is class.
Is that one day with?
Single night, 2 weeks, 6 to 8 days. Yeah. Start out each week with a bang.
Yeah.
Weekend comes to an abrupt finish.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate all your help with this and everything.
Of course. Yeah, my pleasure. Just do my job.
Hopefully this is hopefully the last one.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm like, I have nothing to add. This was fantastic. No problem. It's funny, 'cause I'm the chair. I work at Delaware. I'm the chair over there. And our staff is doing everything there with me. I got like 4 of those and then the realtor or something.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, this is.
So then the burden of proof is truly
Yes.
on the.
We see a lot of, I would like to hear out because I can't do this. I'm like, yes, your house is on me. You deserve almost a barn here. So we're not, do these or this?
So we actually recently amended our rules to acknowledge that they can go into conservation. So actually, we were kind of looking at like communities across Ohio that actually might have experience talking to other BZAs.
I've done one or two with some private deliberations.
Okay.
Not, we don't.
So it's more the exception rather than the rule.
Very much. I do probably 15 hearings a year split this, and I see that maybe for years. And like, so we don't, I don't, I will say, we don't have a discussion. We would put a question for concern if you're on the board, you represent, this should be, that's why, so I told my board, what am I doing? I'm not gonna, my whole life, I'm not gonna I would celebrate. I see, I was really good, that's a real contentious topic. It's used that for wall signs, it's like, I need a wall sign, same as commercial sign. So like, we've done some historical projects where a lot of stuff is gonna go to deliberations, but no.
Yeah, we run into some contentious cases here. I won't get into details, but.
I bet you, I don't think much like it. The only case I have is, we do not have variances, we haven't had a change of use, that's not conforming for commercial residential. And then that's what we can't get nasty, but lucky is, I had to cut it from the town of law. So these claims are dated the day after the hearing. You didn't have to, trying to make this. So we did not have to, and then he sued the city. The city made the county out.
So it's a 7-member BZA.
Yes, it's so cool.
Okay, Delaware.
Yeah. Now it's just, I'm like, no, we're not, vote yes for this. Like, your condos are brand new, those homes are good. So he sued the city. The city council eventually went up and it was like, with the project sold property. But that
That's
was
just somewhere close to downtown.
yeah, like, or like historically, and like, this was cool. We had a full meeting on Zoom, plus like 40 people waiting to speak. It went to like 11 hours. And I'm like, I was waiting, I think I was very, I mean, you start from your next to your guys.
Yeah, the human brain can only sustain so much.
Well, I'm like, oh, what is this? So, email, there's, we have that, Like, we're kind of close to First Street, but like, we're in an old city.
Okay.
Guys have high employees.
Kind of like an industrial park.
Kind of is, it's going, like, before Dublin probably exploded. Like, they have the AC on our office. I would have never.
Working from 100%.
They hired a girl who lived like last month. It's a full-time employee with no interest in the office. And that, you come up like. Our lease, it was all over the East Coast. Our CEO lives in California. I just wonder if they go to deliberations often.
Yeah, so, we determined, so as a quasi judicial body, they're not subject to the Open Meetings Act in the same way that a city council or a planning commission would, where all the business has to happen, in public, except for those few stated reasons we go to executive session or stated in the ORC. None of that applies to BZA because they are quasi judicial. So you would have the option to amend your rules in
I still
Delaware.
would, you wouldn't do it? No. If we're on the public board, you're not supposed to have public, that's not right. Because if you're in public decision, I'd rather at least answer questions or be able to ask questions that I would really, I just think, yeah, we know some clarification, that's not the same. Because I want to ask questions, then you leave me, I'm like, or is it? Everybody knows, I mean, that's like, oh, like, how long, and then, but you're gonna get 62 foot fence. I'm gonna have an entire running marquee. I tried to ask my.
You were operating under just the square footage of the law.
I know.
You could probably, yeah, you could cover the entire building.
It was like Walmart and 12 foot later, so it was like, Walmart, you can't say that. There's the little, like, you have an option. Walmart pick up
But you would still be limited on number.
We want them.
Yeah, I guess if you're gonna stretch it all.
Let's just stretch together, and no space in there.
What a story that would be.
There's a Walmart we did down in the stores. It's a
Miami Pink, okay.
white leather. It's got like art deco, like columns on it, and you're like, it feels like something out of the, like, a Miami Vice or something. It's terrible. This is not like. For the zoning district here, so it's gotta be just town. Other than town. Walmart's still like, they haven't touched it. California, especially, like, they got all sorts of color restrictions.
Yep. All the vernacular, wherever it is, yeah.
We did one thing, but.
Hilton Head probably has the same kind of thing too. Very
Yeah,
rigorous,
they just.
landscaping requirements, that's for sure. Like, you can't even see the Walmart.
I think it's
Shrouded.
like, you can't just like, all right, we had a thing, they went at 900 foot, 12 foot tall berms with 6 foot initial plantings on it. As a conditional rule, like, the concession gives me, I'm like, would you like, I took it, like, all right, I'll take this, it's my client, I'm like, this is like a $3 million plant to make, is the neighborhood happy? For us.
Okay, we're back in public session, having completed our deliberations. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. I make a motion, we approve the variances as requested and adopt the staff report on the basis of that, and to grant the variance in the first
The variance is section 1151.05C4, directional sign size.
Correct, yes.
So there's a motion to grant that variance according to the staff,
Based upon-
adopting the staff report. Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Mr. Dash George,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Mr. Cheffin,
Yes.
Mr. Creech,
Yes.
Mr. Russo.
Yes. That variance has been approved. Regarding the second variance requested, section 1151.05A3A for the number of wall signs. Is there a motion?
Make the motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the second variance
For the number of
for the
wall
number
signs.
of wall signs,
Number of wall signs, adopting
adopting the staff's
staff
recommendation.
report.
I'll second.
I have a second.
And seconded, moved and seconded. Call roll.
Mr. Dash George,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Mr. Cheffin,
Yes.
Mr. Creech,
Yes.
Mr. Russo.
Yes. Thank you.
May I say something?
Sure.
Sir, from the gentleman from Walmart, could I ask you just a quick question? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
This doesn't really, we've already adopted, agreed to give you the sign. I raised a concern about the traffic flow going onto Todd Road with your moving of all your pickup zones to the other side of the building. I would think you'd probably speculate that there'll be more traffic on and off Todd Road, wouldn't you? You know what I'm talking about?
I'm pulling up Google Maps right now because I'm not sure which road that is.
Okay, it would be the road, I guess, to the west or the north?
Yeah. I think that's in the purview of council and
It
planning
is.
commission.
It is, but I just thought maybe this gentleman might be aware of the issue.
Most of Walmart doesn't necessarily expect increased traffic flow from this program. This program, from what I've been told by Walmart, is the majority of the people that use this program already shop at Walmart. So they don't necessarily see an increase in overall traffic, but they see an increase in the use of this program. So,
Well, but it's the area also. There's more development going on up there, Tractor Supply, the hotels, so on and so forth. So there's just
Yeah.
more traffic.
More traffic. You might want to
more
bring it to the
intersections,
attention of
more
your
signs.
people higher up to be concerned about that.
But
I
that's
can-
I'm sure
I can-
council and planning commission.
I can put my email summary for them, at least let them know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item of business is BZA 2022504, 13 East High Street variance.
We should go back to 03, excuse me.
Agree?
Just to formally move that the case be continued if we haven't done that.
I'll move that we continue case number BZA 252503 to a date certain in November? Yes, okay.
Seconded.
At the applicant's request.
At the applicant's request, let the minutes show. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, it's been moved, it's been postponed and moved at the applicant's request. Okay, next item of business, BZA 2022504, 13 East High Street, variance to section 1151.05 to allow a wall sign positioned more than 18 feet above the adjacent ground. Jackson Tester, applicant and agent. Zach? Presentation. Did you guys get something sworn in?
I did not know, sir.
Okay.
If you would, please stand. Do you swear or affirm to testify the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And I do in this case as well?
You're still.
Once you're sworn in,
still
you're
under
sworn in
oath.
for everything.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Conrad. Let's go ahead and pull up the slideshow for BZA 2025-04. The property address for this one, this is at 13 East High Street. This is a single variance request to section 1151.05A2A 1B. It's buried deep in the subsections, this particular one, positioning a wall sign more than 18 feet above the adjacent ground. So again, as Chairman Russo mentioned, the applicant is Mr. Jackson Trester, who is here with us this evening. The property owner is Uptown 4 LLC, under the care of Dave Schmidt. The current zoning classification applicable to the property, this is in the UP Uptown District and also situated within an overlay district for the Uptown Historic District. So this particular sign was subject not only to the standard zoning requirements, but also the Certificate of Appropriateness process with the Historic and Architectural Preservation Commission, or HAPC for short. This sign has already successfully obtained COA approval, so this is kind of the last major hurdle to clear in order for the sign to be authorized and ultimately installed on the building in question. Current use, so this is a single tenant space within the John Minnis building. This is on the second floor of the building. This is a fitness facility called Fitness on High. You may have noticed the temporary banner that is hung right now on the balcony railing that is right above where So High, the sandwich shop, and Steinkeller, their entrance, is located. And the proposal, again, in this situation, section 1151.05A2A1B, elevation of wall sign from the adjacent ground. So here is a look at the location. This is an aerial view, so here is the subject property. And so this is on East High Street, right across from Oxford Memorial Park, the stage region. So Skyline Chili would be right here. And here's a look at the zoning map. It's pretty much all within the UP Uptown Zone. This block and all the blocks adjoining to it. And this section of the code provides the following for wall signs in the UP district. So it provides for no more than one sign per occupant. So each individual business tenant is allowed to have one individual wall sign. And the height limit on those signs is no more than 3 feet. That is being demonstrated, no problem with this particular proposal. But they ran into a problem with respect to provision number 2 here, which states that it has to be attached between 9 and 18 feet above the adjacent ground. And this code section apparently, allegedly, was written for commercial tenants that are situated at the ground level, not so much commercial tenants that would be situated on the second floor. Generally speaking, second floors, they tend to be perhaps residential use or office use. There are some examples in Oxford where there are other commercial uses on the second floor, and so this happens to be an example of that. So timeline pertinent to this request, so we received a sign permit on August the 5th. That sign permit was denied, first due to a lack of COA, which of course, as I mentioned, that's already been satisfied, as well as citing the elevation issue. And a variance application to this provision of the code was received August 21st. And then September 11th was the day that the COA was approved for the sign design, and this is that design. It's a metal sign, Fitness on High. Total sign area, 26.59 square feet, 207 inches by 18.5 inches. And then here's a site photo from the applicant, so you can see where the banner is situated presently along the railing. A wall sign, by definition, it can't be on a railing, it has to be on the wall. Switching to the next slide, this is where that sign will ultimately be placed. So it would be going above the windows, resembling sort of a storefront, but just elevated to the second floor. So going above that set of windows in this band area, just below the upper story balcony. Okay, then we'll go through the decision criteria. So criterion A, whether the property in question will yield reasonable return or whether there can be any beneficial use of the property without a variance. So under the zoning code, every non-residential occupant in the UP Uptown District, they're entitled to have at least one wall sign for identification and advertising purposes. Due to the existing architectural characteristics of this building, the John D. Minnis building, the balconies, the Steinkeller sign, the name of the building itself etched into stone here. Those are already occupying space. So the proposed location, although not complying with the literal positioning standards that are spelled out in the code, we feel like this is a very logical location for the sign to go, given the architectural characteristics of this building. And the beauty, of course, with the variance approval is that this approval is only specific to this property, to this situation. So this approval would run with the property, and as tenants may change hands in the future, this approval would remain with the property. Whether it's changing tenants, changing owners, the approval would remain with the property, but only this property. So granting this variance for this situation doesn't mean that all of a sudden it's going to be guaranteed that every single wall sign in the Uptown District can go all the way up to 25 feet in height above the adjacent ground. Criterion B, whether the variance is substantial. So in consideration, again, of the subject building's characteristics, we don't believe elevating a wall sign 5 to 7 extra feet above the usual maximum height limit represents a substantial ask. So we find that criterion B supports the request. Criterion C is whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered or whether there would be a substantial detriment. The proposed sign appears to be complementary of the Minnis building architecture in terms of window bays, lintels, pilasters. It's of a reasonable size and scale that the resulting condition would not substantially alter the character of the district in a negative way. So we find C supports. D, whether the variance would adversely affect the delivery of governmental services, it will not. So D supports the variance. E, whether the property owner purchased the property with knowledge. The idea with this criterion is trying to get at whether this variance was provoked by some kind of a self-created hardship. In other words, if you have an owner that's purchasing property who knows full well that what they want to do with the property, the zoning regulations would restrict or otherwise prohibit or prevent what they want to do, they should not automatically expect a guaranteed outcome in their favor. So staff has to rate this criterion as not lending support toward the variance. Mr. Trester is not the property owner. However, the board may weigh the thoughts and arguments contributed by Mr. Trester in support of this criterion, insofar as it seems clear that the hardship was not reasonably foreseen in this situation. Criterion F is whether the property owner's predicament can be obviated through some method other than a variance. So we agree with Mr. Trester's finding. There's no other feasible alternative that exists for accommodating signage at this location. So F clearly supports the variance. Then finally with G, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done. So in the UP district, or uptown core, it's not typical for commercial non-office tenants to be situated on a second story and thus not have frontage that's directly next to a public sidewalk. Perhaps the second most common arrangement would be to have, space for businesses like Steinkeller on a basement level, whereby you have an entrance, at the sidewalk level, but then that's descending down to the basement level. With Fitness on High, the location of the business within an established building presents a more unique situation that we feel is deserving of special exception to the normal rule, and granting this new business the ability to advertise not only in virtual spaces like the internet, social media, etc., but also visibly to passersby on the street is a decision that would be fair, reasonable, and equitable. So in conclusion, we as staff, we believe there's substantial evidence to support the requested variance. Happy to take any questions from the board members.
Mr. Chairman? Yeah, I have a question. This went back to a question I had earlier about the housing or the historic commission being involved with this. And you sent them a letter when they first applied, sort of implying to go back to the historic commission. They did.
They did.
It was granted?
It was granted administratively.
Okay.
Yes.
So the procedure isn't to come here first and then go to the historic. It can be opposite. They can choose.
They can choose. They have the option. There's no mandated sequence in terms of going to HAPC first before BZA. I would say it's probably more common to do HAPC first before BZA, but again, because there's no mandated sequence, it's up to
And there's nothing
the
in our
applicant
code
to
that
decide how they
requires
want to go about that.
anything like that. Is that correct?
It's handled at the administrative level,
Okay.
so no.
All right, second question that relates to that, historic preservation. So they approved this sign based upon the design, I am assuming?
Correct. The
You
materials, the
said if-
appearance.
If we granted the variance, that the sign location and the sign type would remain even if the owner changed, is that correct? Or would they have to go back to the historic?
The
commission?
variance is specific only to the provision that it be positioned
The height.
greater than 18 feet tall. So if there's going to be a replacement sign, let's say the business changes names, or they just want to replace the sign with a different sign, a different, style of sign perhaps, then it's going to be subject again to that COA process, but won't be subject to coming back for the same
All right, just want
request
to
again.
understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was the bow tie sign approved?
So that's a good question. I did not find any evidence in the record as to how that got approved for where it was. So just for contextual purposes,
Well,
if you're
it's-
not
it's in the
sure
same
what the
spot.
chair is referring to, but there was the Bow Tie Barber Shop that used to occupy that space, and they had a circular sign right above there.
Yeah.
And I don't know when that would have gone in, or if this zoning provision was in effect at the time. Maybe it was a miss, I don't know, I just don't have the answer to that.
So there's no variance and no.
There's no evidence
COA.
of a past variance for this.
They just put it up.
Well, there might have been a permit.
Oh,
Um,
might have been, or do we know?
I might have looked at that at one point, but it didn't imprint into my memory, so
Yeah,
I'll leave it at a maybe.
yeah,
I know who ran it before, he just did it.
yeah. Well,
Can I assume that the banner's getting taken down as well?
that's temporary.
So when they put the new sign up, they'll take the banner down?
You're welcome to ask the
Okay,
applicant that
okay,
question.
thank you.
Any other questions? Any other questions for Zach? Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
You've been sworn.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jackson Tresser. First of all, Zach, you're awesome. I appreciate all your help. I don't really have much to add, but to Steve, yes, that banner will be taken down as soon as we get approval, and hopefully, if we get approval today, we'll hopefully get the sign up this week. Is the goal. I'm super excited to get signage and be able to show our business. We've been open for about 6 months, but we're really excited to be here. So, yep. Any questions that you guys have, I'm happy to answer.
How did you decide on a gray sign with black font?
It goes along with our logo, the Fitness on High logo. But
Got
our
it.
merch and just our brand is.
And your sign isn't lit or anything like that?
No, sir. No.
It's a pretty benign sign. I mean, you stand in front of across the street at the park, and Starbucks jumps out at you, and SoHi, and Subway. It's relatively subdued sign, which makes it consistent with the building.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
The banner isn't.
No, sir. I'm excited to take that down. I wasn't excited to put it up.
Steinkeller wouldn't give up their spot, huh?
Yeah. I did not ask, but I assume no.
Any other questions? Jackson?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Public comment?
I'll make a motion that, in case number
Yeah.
20, easy, no?
I mean, I'll ask for public comment.
Okay.
But I'm not sure, you know.
I make a motion, okay. I'll move that the case number BZA 2025-04, the variance be approved, adopt the staff report and the testimony of the owner of the property.
So second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Please call the roll.
Mr. Dash George,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Mr. Cheffin,
Yes.
Mr. Creech,
Yes.
Mr. Russo.
Yes. Okay. Since we have guests here, any questions or any comments or any issues you'd like from the students here who are in a class on urban planning under the tutelage of Zach Moore? None?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to say something to
Yes.
them. All right, so I'm the law director, and you have just observed one of the linchpins of what has to go on in a civilized society. You may not think it is the highest form of entertainment, but it really is a critical function. And the people who volunteer and serve to do this work are unpaid in most instances. And it's really essential that people do volunteer to support the communities that they live in. And so we need young people like you to be engaged. The smaller communities are having significant troubles finding people to volunteer, and it's tough sometimes. That isn't necessarily the case in Oxford, although there have been times when it's challenging, and Mr. Mayor can allude to that. But fundamentally, you've just observed something that really is one of the key underpinnings of how local government functions, that most people don't understand, don't fully appreciate, and certainly don't understand how essential it is for an orderly community to exist in peace. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. And also, if you get a chance, you might want to sit in on some other local commissions or bodies or even council meetings, because this is a unique body. We're a public body, but we're in essence a quasi-judicial mechanism. This operates as an adjudicative body, and consequently, we may be a little bit more static.
Formal.
and restricted in some of the give and take, but I encourage you to also attend some meetings of other bodies, including City Council. The mayor's sitting right there. He'll give you a personal invitation, but it's always good to see students up here. And yes, you'll all get your extra credit.
See me, I've got the sign-in sheet right here. You guys are troopers.
Okay. No other business before the board. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks, Matt. I got your sign up.
Thank you.
And Matt, if you ever need any canvassers, let me know.
Absolutely. This last month.
I've done it for a lesser man, so I'd be happy to help you.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Oh, thank you. You too, yeah. Appreciate your